Hello, I am back here in the studio and my name is Hayley Brown. I am the host of Inadequate Mother. It's been a while since I've been here. I had a little bit of a life crisis, went down, but I'm excited to get back into recording and creating conversational content that can be accessible on various topics of conversation. A lot of people have been asking me, oh, your Inadequate Mother is a podcast linked to parenting. Yes, we cover parenting, but it's varied conversation. This is a space for you guys to drop in your experiences, your stories, your thought theories, your ideas. I am an avid sociological person that loves studying people, psychology. I just love conversation. But a lot of people view me as an interpreter or an Instagram girl, or, so I called it Inadequate Mother because that's the core of me. I am a mother, and because of society's influence, I feel inadequate. So I invite anyone that wants to come and share their stories or feelings. And I'm so excited to introduce my guest who's come far. Where are you from? Derby. Oh, I lived in Derby. Yeah, my daughter, my firstborn, actually was born in Derby. You didn't know. Anyway, the wonderful Paul Gardner, is it? Sign name?
Unfortunately, I've got many sign names, but the popular one is this one.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to use Gardner, the gardening. So I've decided to speak into this microphone and sign at the same time. I think we both agreed, didn't we? We wanted to show the diversity of communication. Are you going to just switch off and sign?
I'll try my best to speak and sign.
But yeah, I will voice you over later if you want to just...
Thank you. Actually, I think that'll help.
Yeah.
Speaking can make it tough.
Be free. Be free with your hands. So the topic of conversation, I mean, to be honest, I think it's just going to be broad because this wonderful person is like different layers to you as a person.
Yeah. I've been through lots of experiences, and I've found that coming from a very big push from my mother, she's given me opportunities. So I think that's really where I'd like to start, with my mum. With
your mum. She didn't identify as an inadequate mother.
I think she might have done, actually.
I think we...
Yeah, she was fighting the school. My mum was a teacher, actually, and so she understood the system. And she tried to help the teachers to educate me in a better way.
Yeah. Were you born deaf?
Yep, born deaf.
Born deaf.
But I was born in Bermuda. I like the sign Bermuda. There's no official sign, actually.
Bermuda?
But it's because the island is shaped like a hook for fishing. So, like a fishing hook. So that's the sign.
Wow. So why were you born in Bermuda?
I think my parents just wanted a better life. So they moved to Bermuda from England, but they met in Cambridge University.
Clever family.
My brother, he's the intelligent one in our family.
Wow. No, don't put yourself come on. Except you're all intelligent. You have to be a family, I think. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, my family were not very close. Really? I think it was unfortunate because my brother were both deaf, but my deafness was more severe than my brother's. He had hearing aids, but just little ones, and I had the big hearing aids. But my parents found it hard. They couldn't understand why. You're both deaf. My parents were stuck with a kind of binary aspect of deafness, whether you're deaf or not. it took quite a long time to realise actually that I'm different from my brother.
Really?
So they sent me to Great Ormond Street for a test, and I had a needle put down my back. It was really long, down the back, and they injected iodine to see where it went, and that can help to diagnose what deafness you have.
Old way to do it.
I was very young at the time when it happened to me, but my brother, he had
Right.
deafness caused by an infection, but mine was hereditary deafness.
Ow.
So I had a deformity called Pendred syndrome. So that shell-shaped cochlea, I was born with a blob. It didn't have the right structure, and that affected my hearing. So my deafness, compared to my brother, I was more tone deaf. And that was hard for people to understand because we're both brothers, we should be the same.
Do you think it was that time where we had minimal information and parents were just a bit ignorant to aspects of deafness?
Yeah, I don't think they were ignorant. I just didn't think they had a system which was helping people to... I think we had a system where we didn't have enough deaf people who were giving their experiences. We were dependent on the experts. You go to the doctor or the audiologist, and my mum, she trusted them. She took their word for it as factual. So we were brought up with the view that sign language was a weakness.
Really?
That was our family at the start.
When did you start learning sign language?
My mum was lucky. She took me to Crystal Palace sport event. Loads of deaf people were there, and I was amazed.
How old were you?
I was probably only about 6 or 7 years old. So a little bit later, but I had that experience of seeing the deaf world, and I was amazed. And it opened my mum's eyes as well. She encouraged sign language with me after that.
So seeing that sport event open your mum's eyes and it impacted you.
Massively.
What about your brother?
My brother didn't go,
Oh.
so he missed out on the opportunity. So I had the luck of seeing that event. It gave me more confidence in, I can be who I want to be. But my brother, he saw deafness as a bit of a shame. And he lived his life in a way where he tried to distance himself from the deaf. He tried to cover up his hearing aids. He spoke really well. He was a straight A student at school. I was a straight A student until year 9. My brother, he always avoided deaf conversation. People teased him about his deafness.
Really?
They did.
Did you both go to the same school or started? Right.
We went to the same mainstream school.
Right.
He went to college in our town, but I went to Mary Hare.
Right.
That was another eye-opener for me. I was spending so much time in mainstream school with the teachers. It was I felt, for me, it was almost like a prison environment. I had an interpreter or a communicator there, and that separated me from the rest of the classroom.
Yeah.
I couldn't be included or involved. The only time I could was playtime. But through that, I missed on that social and that mingling situation. I was a bit of a rebel trying to get attention, really.
I think it's interesting because I have a lot of interpreters that watch this, and for me, I would say one skill for an interpreter is to kind of read the room and understand when you need to be away, and because it's not only about giving the information, it's about allowing the room to integrate with the person. Just simple things, for example, like when you get into like a lecture room, normally the interpreter will just take the chair and put it at the front, like here. But if I take the chairs next to the deaf, that means less people are going to sit around them. So I make sure I get the chair from the back and then use that. Do you know what I mean? Just little things just help that social interaction.
It's important these days.
Do you think it's changed now? Like you said, like this binary view on deafness.
It's definitely a very strong misunderstanding of what deafness is now, because we had hearing aids, we had no hearing aids. That was a very one or the other. But now we've had cochlear implants introduced into the mix.
When was that? When did they get introduced?
I've actually brought something with me. I'd like to show you it.
Please.
This was a letter that was written to the council to make an application for a cochlear implant, and the verbiage that was used by the audiology and the doctors to the mother of my friend, they said that unfortunately when they first get an implant, the sound might sound like Donald Duck.
That's the one. Okay.
I've actually got proof of that there's been an evolvement of the sound. So when people think cochlear implants aren't fixing sound, they don't realise it's like when you're playing the Mega Drive, you've got 16-bit pixels, and now we have HD quality. So cochlear implants are like listening to sound in 16-bit and not HD. People are used to HD quality with lots of different layers because they've got all the hairs in the cochlea. They can hear the sound at the same time, but when we receive through a sound through a microphone, it digitizes the sound into a program that has to be put into a wire. So the sound itself is not natural, it's structured. So when doctors are telling families now, your children can hear, the word hear is deceptive.
Yeah, here. It's like pick up something.
Yeah, in comparison to stimulation,
Stimulation.
auditory stimulation.
Okay. Bionic. So doctors compare what is heard through this bionic ear to a short Donald Duck computer talk. He will not hear words like us. The word us. Us. Hearing. Or a hint of normal speech. Cochlear implants are yet rare in Britain so far. So this is like one of the first applications. Wow. And you work in Cochlear, am I right?
Yeah, I work in Cochlear at Addlestone, the headquarters of Cochlear. I'm working with advocacy. So I'm in the building. I started in the goods in department and goods out. When cochlear implants are damaged, they need to be replaced. So I receive them and I sort out the equipment and send it out. Also, all the hospital have big deliveries. I would get the big pallets and ship them off. So I was involved in the international distribution of cochlears. And then over time, I've been talking to staff, just talking to the marketing team about other different parts of the team. And they actually offered me an opportunity to work as a mascot. So like Casey the koala bear, but I loved it.
Cochlear poster boy.
But that's where things got a bit strange for Cochlear, because they were putting the expectation on me that cochlears were good. And I was trying not to say the cochlears are bad, because they're not. I believe the cochlears are amazing technology for all of us. But the views about it are misunderstood.
So it's not about the technology, your concern is the influence it has on society's understanding of deafness and how, let's be honest, money is distributed.
Yes, so without trying to say too much that this is a conspiracy theory,
Okay.
I can actually see it for myself. When I was working in Cochlear, they asked me to be Casey the koala bear. On the day, what happened was I had the suit on and I was just waiting for the families to arrive. The first Kim came in and I started signing, and straight away I could see their eyes light up, the kids and the parents. They could see they were already had that connection, and I loved that because I welcomed them in and the parents could go and do their thing and I'd just play with the kids. But then when I finished, I took the mask off for the break. One of the parents came up to me and she started asking me questions. She asked me, "Oh, right, okay, so you have a cochlear implant. How long have you had it?" I said, "Oh, since I was 14 years old, my 14th birthday." She said, "You speak really well." She was quite taken by how well I spoke. And then we carried on conversation. But one of the Cochlear marketing team came over and they joined our conversation. And she seemed to be trying to portray the perception that my speech was good because of the cochlear implant. But what they didn't realise was that I had learned to speak before I had my cochlear implant. So because my mum was a languages teacher, her pronunciation was really good and it stuck in my head. So the marketing team, she said, "Oh, so you speak well because of hearing aids?" And I said, "Yeah." And the mother was surprised. She was a bit taken aback by that. So she was, "But the cochlear is supposed to be better." And that's actually when I said, no. Unfortunately, because of my ear deformity, when we put the electrode in, something didn't quite go how they expected it to. So I'd actually say that my hearing quality reduced from when I had my hearing aid to having a cochlear implant. And the marketing team didn't like that. And then after the event, I took my suit off and everything. I was ready to go home. And the manager came over to me and he was like, "Can I have a chat with you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "How do you feel about next time not signing?" Straight away, I was a bit taken aback. So I asked him why. I wouldn't be able to recollect the whole conversation, but the impression that he was giving me was that signing is part of that negative aspect, and Cochlear were trying to promote the positive side. Speech is good.
So Cochlear was linked to speech and no Cochlear is linked to sign language, and they basically said it's bad for business if the Cochlear is...
My understanding was it was trying to shame the deaf aspect of having cochlear implants and trying to promote the hearing aspect of having a cochlear implant. So speech was a strength and signing was a weakness.
Right.
So they were using the marketing of vulnerability. We're going to remove the vulnerability and give you independence. So it's like, but I feel independent as a deaf man.
And sign language is your language.
Yeah, it was this contradiction. They were saying to me that you need to improve your identity, and I was just like, so it was against everything I believe in. My mum encouraged me to be strong in my identity and my beliefs, but a Cochlear was promoting this opposite agenda in their marketing strategy. I couldn't get that.
So do you think that's because there was few deaf people involved with the business of the Cochlear and the promotion?
That's funny that you say that.
Yeah.
Because it was a deaf person who was a friend of mine who helped me to get the job.
Yeah.
And there was another deaf person in there. But this guy, he didn't sign. He reminded me completely of my brother. And that's why I understood him. But he was telling me, try not to sign here. And I was just...
Did you challenge?
challenge to him. So we actually had one incident where we decided, okay, we need to have a sit down and talk about it. So we did.
How old were you then?
I was 23, 24 years old.
Wow. And you were challenging big bosses at 23. That's
my mum and me.
You're a very intellectual and powerful person for the age of 23 to be challenging a big boss in a job. A lot of deaf will relate to that kind of gut feeling of something's not right.
That's what I felt.
And yeah,
I felt that they were trying to push an agenda on me and trying to tell me what deafness was. And that's not right, because they're using the vulnerabilities and the dependency of deafness to make the money.
I had a guest on here. You should watch the episode with a mum called Tilly, and her clip where she said, I've been trying to fight and get the money to learn sign language so I can connect with my daughter, and I can't get funding, but easy to get the funding for the technology of a Cochlear. And she's very confused because, like, a Cochlear, surely that's more expensive than a sign language course. And I would love for you to help enlighten that.
Really, if you want to think about these things, you have to understand the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So money has pathways. It flows down, it flows up. But if you think about services, you have service that is by the tool or service based. So when I think about people with wheelchairs, you need a tool, like a wheelchair. It's a tool. You can replicate that in a factory. So blind people have sticks. You have braille. It's very factory based, and that's a tool. But when it comes to interpreting, it's more of a service, because you can't have a machine that will do that, which will actually provide the fluctuation of a conversation. We've got Synapse. Synapse, that's the AI system, and that's completely different. And I would worry in the next 5 years about the developments that could come. I think the impacts it might have on us are worrying, but that's another conversation.
How many conversations can we fit in? Because we'll have to come back, I think, again.
Sorry, I went off topic. So it's tools and services. So if you are creating a tool that helps someone's independence, that's powerful, that's valuable. But if you are creating a picture of what deafness is by providing the experience, so we have experts in Cochlear that are hearing, they're not deaf, telling people what they should be doing. Deaf people. And I feel that's a contradiction in itself. You would go to a man and ask for menstruation advice, you'd go to a woman. In the same, you'd go to a person that had life experience. So I feel that the system that we have, we've been introduced into this dependency. So where sign language is a language, it's a language that is a social tool. But the companies are destroying the social tool for their profit. And the social tool of sign language is being eradicated and shamed, so they can say, okay, well, if you have a cochlear implant, you'll be part of the better people. And that's part of their marketing strategy. I think that's a real concern, because you have the culture of the deaf community. It's quite small, but they don't realise that the deaf people who are part of hearing families and that are in part of the social community, it's massive. It's an untapped resource, and Cochlear are exploiting this.
I feel like you're saying, so you've got social aspects of culture and deafness and language and community, and that's so important. And when I've always wondered, because as a mum who's a single mum, I've always wondered, how do married couples financially survive? Because I feel like the single family is encouraged with the benefit system now. And that's similar, isn't it? It's like the government wants to become the father.
You got it. I've made a video about that.
Okay, we've got similar theories. But it's like with the Cochlear, they want you want you to be dependent on that power dynamic.
I agree. It's about the people who are in power, who have the ability to control where the cattle are eating the fields.
That's why it's so important that we all continue to connect, conversate, build community.
Okay, I've got an analogy to use for that. I've been using it in my business. So, you remember the film Jaws? The shark. It's an old film. Made us all scared of sharks.
You like sharks?
Yeah.
I knew you'd be an interesting person. He loves sharks, of course.
Well, so Jaws, people were scared of sharks. It's an old film. But we now live in 2025. So when you think about shark behaviour experts, marine biologists, we've got people who swim with sharks for fun. They do it, why? Because they understand sharks. They understand their behaviour. So people nowadays are getting more understanding of how to interact with what we used to be afraid of. And now I feel that that's part of what I'm doing with the Worldwide Deaf Gym. I'm trying to encourage confidence in hearing people to feel comfortable, trying to engage with a deaf person. And I think by giving them the tools and confidence, to giving them the understanding, that's my ADHD going all over the place.
No, but it's true. I think I can relate to that, and I think with my social media, I've always just wanted to show it. I'm a hearing person. I'm a hearing person that gels with other hearing, but also deaf, and that's okay. I'm not trying to create a deaf thing or a hearing thing. I'm just me, and that's important to show. So it does create confidence, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think trying to help people get back in touch with their emotions, especially towards, that's what sign language does. I want to touch on something I think is quite important, is the Enochian aspect of language.
Okay.
So a long time ago, we had Queen Elizabeth I. She had two advisors called John Dee and Edward Kelly. They were heavily involved in black magic, so it's murky. The information's murky. But one thing they did come out of the works was that they uncovered Enochian language. So Enochian language is a language that's used by the angels. And the word comes from Enoch, the man who walked with God. It's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible, the Old Testament or the New?
No, it's part of the Bible that was before the King James Version.
So is it the hidden part? The hidden?
It's the cut-out version. So this is where we see the Christian and spirituality intertwine, and that aspect being removed from history.
Where do you research things like this?
Oh, well, I love history. My mum was very big supporter of that growing up, because she was very well travelled. She saw how civilization developed through the Romans, through the Greeks, the Canaanites, the Sumerians, so it could go back a long way. And when you think about Noah and his son, he had one son called Ham, and Ham was the father of the Canaanites. He was the naughty one. He was the one that did something with Noah's wife, his own mum. But those people were in Syria, so their language was actually on the hands. For the magic to be effective, frequencies and feelings make the magic.
So is it like, so comparing to, I've seen in churches with tongues, where, in churches they talk in tongues. That's a Christian thing. Is it like that?
So coming back to Queen Elizabeth, the language that was used at the time, it was convoluted. It became like contradictory. So when they translated the English out from the Rosetta Stone, we got Latin, we got the Greek, we got all those. But then Edwin Kelly and John Dee, they incorporated part of the Enochian language into the verbiage of English language.
They used their hands. So this...
No, that was when they started to eradicate the emotional aspects of language.
Right.
Because they realised the power of the emotional of language. It's like the film Stargate. They started to write in the sand, and then they would cover that up. It was forbidden to do it. We can't use language. It's kind of like that.
Do you know what it looked like?
Enochian, yeah. It's, you can Google it.
Really? Everyone Google Enochian language. This is a really interesting thing. I've never heard of this before.
English language is the closest spoken language to Enochian.
Wow. And do you know what's really interesting? I have to say this. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with my father because my grandmother is slowly, she's got dementia and she's slowly declining. She's in a home at the moment and she's talking a language that everyone thinks that's a language, but they don't understand. But it sounds like Old English. Yeah, and my father's been Googling and researching because she's coming out and she was a very spiritual person. Do you think it's this? I mean, is it this...
Spiritual aspects
is it this
are...
old, maybe language that embedded in some, I don't know, subconsciousness of it?
I think that could be true. Our past lives are merging with us now.
Powers, so you're saying the powers above realised the power of language and wanted to make sure they can control it.
That they took away our ability to manifest.
Right.
So talking, okay, I'm going to do that, and then they never do it. Contradictory. I believe, this is my opinion, I believe that when people who use certain frequencies in their speech, they're actually negatory. So we use language to supposedly empower, but if what we've been taught before we were born, a language that is already defeating us.
Or when I interpret the politicians, I'm like, you're not trying to connect, you're trying to disconnect. And we use language with the words, it's not accessible, or the English, and there is a beauty in sign language that is purely about connection, eye contact.
You can't really lie to each other when you're signing, and you can when you speak. And I think that's why that power has been held on, and they've taken away our emotions. So if you take away the true connection of what language is supposed to do, then there's something wrong with that.
So really you're saying that yes, we have deaf rights, we have deaf campaigns for sign language, but really if you study and you're intellectual like yourself and you go deeper into the development of language in English, you can really work out why it's happened over the years. Wow. You need to start your own podcast and talk about, you do this on Instagram, don't you?
I do. I've got lots of videos where I find that a lot of information to give to deaf people is very secondhand. So I'm like, no, we need people to be aware and not be given this label of the deaf and dumb. Now, I want to touch on something I saw in a video by John Smith today. I laughed my head off. I thought it was brilliant because a hearing person came into him and said, "Oh, you're deaf and dumb, right?" And he said, "Well, what?" The hearing person asked him, "Why do you use the term deaf and dumb?" So he said, "Well, deaf and dumb, it means you can't talk." And Jotham was like, "Okay, maybe you're deaf and dumb means you can't sign. You're dumb to your hands. That's it." Well done, John Smith.
Yeah. So it's interesting because we think speaking is linked to
Superiority.
an intellectual, and I think
Like they've applied intellect to language. If a person is unable to speak, then they have no intellect. It's very self-defeating. Actually, I want to explain something that happened when I was working in Cochlear. They had a special day where they wanted to show off this new marketing advert. So they brought in all the internal staff and sat us all down, and we were watching. And I realised the whole video, it was a beautiful video, don't get me wrong, but there was no signing. And the deaf people were actually speaking. And I was just, well, where are the actual representations of what a deaf person is? There was none of it. So when I came to try and inform them, I was like, this might drive your deaf community away. It might bring your hearing audience in, but the deaf audience, you're going to drive them away further. They were not bothered. They were just like, okay.
And do you think that, in my experience, talking to deaf people or parents of deaf children, they feel completely lost. So their marketing is to grab those lost parents and the families that have no information. Yeah.
So when I was watching them try to establish that community, Cochlear had their own community. It's very strange because the families who approach them, they've been ignored.
Because they're strong.
And they go against the vision they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
In itself, that's telling.
Yeah. Okay, let's pause because we don't want to get cancelled. But yeah, I think it's a powerful way to make change. And I want to, thank you for using social media the way you have in the past. I know that you've come out and been honest and very vulnerable, and it's kind of shook the deaf community before. And so what's happened in terms of that experience of you just being open and vulnerable?
Life changing for me.
Really?
A massive eye opener as well, because as much as I know that the deaf community is so big, reinstilled with confidence and hope, because I could see how well connected everyone was.
You didn't have any negative
I had some, yeah. There are a couple, but the majority of them were fantastic, very supportive, and I was actually shocked at how many people were also affected. The reach of what had happened was not just to myself, but a lot of other people. I was like, wow. So I felt...
All those people that had been affected, were they grateful for your video?
Yes. I felt that I had done a great justice.
Agreed.
Thank you. So seeing the positive and constructive changes that have come from this is what's really reassured me that my actions are helping.
And I think the deaf world, obviously, they have their barriers and experience specific to deafness. But as a man, also, you being open and vulnerable is so important in this world with this change in feminine, masculine. So I praise you as a woman that has 2 daughters, and I want them to have, a relationship with a man that can be vulnerable. So for me, as a mom, I'm grateful when men are vulnerable and put it out there,
Because when we what we do, we allow others to feel they're not alone and they're suffering too. So that's so important now. Deaf men who are withdrawn.
Do you think that's because I know that hearing men are kind of there, but do you think that deaf men are behind in developing that vulnerability, or because they're...
That's an interesting question. I've not really thought about that. From what I've seen, I do think that deaf men are more capable of opening up. But if they have... I think also there's a regional issue we have at the moment.
Yeah.
So with the distance between so many of us, it's hard for people to have really emotional expression and connection. Most of our communication is done on the phone, texting, video calls. As valuable as it is, I feel that it's still not enough. So when most of my counsellors have been hearing when I've used them, so their advice has not been, in my eyes, the right advice, because when they recommend me to do things, some of the advice I've been given is go to the pub and socialise. And I'm like, yeah, these are the very people I've got a problem with.
So a therapist needs to have lived experience to be able to empathise and offer the right advice.
Yeah, so I would praise Sign Health, even though there have been a lot of issues, they've got a lot of complications. I want to applaud what they've been doing and what they are doing for everybody. Even though they don't have the set up support system for men, they do have the services available to provide information. Unfortunately, it's very hearing based, so I'm hoping that we can have more deaf organisations. I'm trying to do that myself.
Okay.
It's been very difficult, and
So
I'm not giving up.
Setting up a male-only mental health service, or what?
I would like to start out working with men. I feel that we don't have an organisation. I've been sort of trying to provide opportunities with local guys. Just going down the river, we have a chat. We have our way of doing things, but it's not in a room with four walls and people watching. It's more of, if someone wants to fall behind and have a chat with someone, they can. I feel that we need more of that. We need more of an open discussion, so we can be able to come together and have time together.
I think now the new kind of form of therapy is like a life coach, and that's like a professional friend. Have you heard of it? Yeah, I have a life coach, and really it's a counsellor. It's the same. It's just less rules to follow, because they're just a life coach. They are, and I feel like that is needed so much in the deaf community. But like everything, there has to be these qualification and training courses that are designed for the deaf. As an interpreter, I see like, oh, well, there's no access, and they think the interpreter, oh, we've got access, but it's so hard. And I feel for, I praise deaf that go and get the qualification in counselling, and they have double the work to try and translate everything that's a hearing way. Okay, how can I merge that into my deaf practice? And it would just be so easier if there was a specifically designed course to become like a deaf counsellor, but with also PTing.
We are sort of trying to do something similar to that.
Amazing.
Yes.
That would just be...
Really, thanks to Christine and David, I'm working with them.
You at the moment are creating something within the exercise industry?
Yes. I've actually been blessed to have met Christine and David. Christine and David, I met them about a year ago.
Are they Christine and David from Worldwide Deaf Gym? I know of them from lockdown. I met remotely. I've met them. David. I remotely met because I used to do a lot of fitness and share, and
he had been having some problems trying to get things going. So when I joined him, I just brought my marketing experience, my contacts, my friends.
Businessman, yeah.
I like to work in the shadows. David, ever since I met him, he's been really impressing me, Christine especially, because I think what's making this work mostly is Christine's been writing UCAS accredited framework. So at the moment, we can apply to the gyms.
This is so good.
Our system at the moment in England is that they provide lots of support for public services, but it's not for corporate and businesses. So we're trying to break into the framework of providing a standard of deafness in professional business. So when deaf people come, there is... Oh, damn.
Don't worry, don't go too deep, because the viewer business side, really, it's just your main aim with the gym is what? Like, what's your main aim with the gym?
We want to make all gyms accessible.
Right.
We want to give the staff who are hearing more confidence to be able to work with deaf people.
Right. And also, when you said framework, will further down the line create a course for deaf to become and learn how to become PTs?
Oh, we've already have that.
What?
We have the PT teaching.
Amazing.
BSL, everything in BSL.
Right.
Yep. Christine wrote everything.
Okay.
Christine is definitely the engine in our team. David is the driver. He's got the steering wheel making the decisions. I'm the wheels holding everybody off.
So just to put that out there is an official deaf PT qualification. That I remember like 5 years ago when I was training in the gym and I was trying to like show my exercises and translate them and teach what little I knew. And I bought a course to become a PT. I didn't finish it because it was boring, just full of words, and I was just like, what is this? And I was like, and that's me as a hearing person, like, so I don't know how, like, India, she's, become qualified through the hearing course, having to translate everything. It's like, wow, like, the information is so boring. The course was so boring, but I'm so happy it's finally happened. There's a deaf course. Christine, well done, well done. This conversation was lovely, and I know you've got extra things, but we can have, again, a conversation. Maybe remote or whatever you want. I feel like me and you could talk for hours because we're so interested in studying sociology and kind of understanding why things happen and why we feel what we feel. But in regards to your experience having a Cochlear, you're a businessman, you've grown up with a brother that was in the hearing world, and yourself felt identified as a strong deaf man who worked with Cochlear. Your insight is so important, and I want to encourage you to come back here, talk more. But in terms of how the world is now, and we have the economy is destroyed after COVID. Everyone's a little bit worried and anxiety's high. What would you say what do you think deaf people need to know and try and work out for themselves? Like,
to have a belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Because the system is designed to take it from you.
Right.
And if it's designed to take it from you, then create.
So create. Yes, I like that. Create art. But what are they taking? Like, what do you mean by that? Do you mean in terms of relying on the cochlear, what we were talking about before?
So let's do a different analogy.
Okay.
Imagine you've got a bull. Someone will look at it and think meat. Another person will look at that and think farmers' fields. So it's how people look at us. Some companies are looking at deaf people like cattle, but we're looking at ourselves as if we've got a farm. Old MacDonald's singing with us. The companies don't want us to have Old MacDonald. People need to realise that the potential is in them, because they're the ones who are taking it from you. So have a belief in your deafness and realise that it's actually a strength. And this emotional connection that we have. For example, when people talk on the telephone, their emotional connection, you can hear the voices. I worked in a call centre for Enterprise and the Royal Bank of Scotland, and I saw how my colleagues, they would keep the customer on the line and make them feel comfortable and relaxed. That's missing from the deaf community. We don't have that kind of connection because it's text with emails or letters. There's no energy being passed. So the hearing are actually missing out on learning how to communicate with the deaf. It's taking out due to technology. So if we can show hearing people maybe meeting in person, that's what the deaf have strengths in.
So true. Like, that was really powerful, and I hope that was understood the way I understood it, because that is why, as a hearing person, I know it was the best decision to become an interpreter, and got sign language. It changed my life. It changed my perspective of everything. And it's why I just want it to be included in schools, in hearing schools. Not because it's kind for the deaf people. Like, no, it can benefit you as a hearing person so much. Yes. Like, I'm so fed up of inclusivity and diversity. I'm just like, so fed up of it.
That could be attributed with Buddhist enlightenment, like enlightenment. So when you have deaf people, when you have people who come to meet deaf people, they want to show I'm a good person. But it's those who actually let go of that ego aspect who really truly connect, because you're taking away the need to prove this need or this need to show off. And when you actually let go and listen properly with your heart, communication, you could learn a lot of things.
I feel like you're like a super intellectual person, your business insight, and you have spiritual insight. Like, how does that happen in terms of you? You're logical, spiritual.
My mum, she was born in Singapore, part of the army, so she travelled.
Similar. My mum, also born, what was the sign?
I don't know the sign for Singapore.
Let us know, please.
So yeah, I think our mums, that energy, that drive they had, spilled over. And I saw the benefits that come with that. Really trying and making mistakes, and because those mistakes, we learn from them. Everybody talks about that.
With this wonderful human here I have to have back on this podcast, because you just have so much to share. Go and connect with Paul Gardner through his Instagram. It's called Empower the Deaf Male. Watch out, because he's working now to promote male mental health services, and hopefully we're going to see more of that, and your work with Deaf Gym also. And yes, I'm just so grateful for you coming all this way.
I'm honoured to be here with you.
No, the honour is mine, honestly. I have been all over the place with this podcast, and I think every time I sit down with someone and I just love conversation. I love learning different perspectives, and yours, you need to write a book, and I hope that you create more. Your poetries, I know, will be out there soon. Can you give us one kind of last, I don't know, idea, poem, analogy, whatever you want to say to the deaf community, but also the hearing community?
I think one analogy that's useful to think about is when you have social prescribing, when you need deaf representative or role models. So if you think about having a garden, you've got many different types of flowers, many disabilities. I went to Queen Elizabeth's Training Foundational College, which was with lots of disabilities. So in my class we had cerebral palsy, wheelchairs, a variety. And I realised in our garden, if the gardener communicates with the plants, he knows the needs of the individual plants. He can give them the best care possible. But if there's one patch in the far corner, that's the deaf patch. The gardener can't communicate with them. So he's trying to make shade when they need light. He's trying to water it when they don't need the water. He's not communicating with them. He's wrapping plants around the wires and controlling where they grow. And look how well they're growing and boasting about it. So if the gardener is able to find a way to communicate with those plants and actually engage in a meaningful way, then all of the garden will be in harmony and able to coexist.
That's beautiful.
We need it.
Thank you. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I am hoping to build this channel, and I don't know where it's going to go, but please follow Hayley Brown and Co. with my Instagram. You can follow the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or obviously you can view the video on YouTube. Thank you. Bye-bye.